Secret U.S. missiles strike Russia. That's right, the tensions between the United States and Russia are reaching a peak as Ukraine launched a secret U.S. missile strike on Russia this week. The attack targeted one of the most important defense positions in Russia. This is why the convenient airbase has become dangerous for Russian planes, and now they'll have to fly longer distances and, accordingly, break down faster. But still, if we're talking about a missile strike, the following questions remain. How was it planned? What kind of missiles were used? How did the U.S. agree to this? Let me explain. In the context of current events, it's very important to recall the concept of the Cold War. It was a global confrontation between the U.S. and the USSR. They didn't fight directly, but they competed in everything. In ideology, in production, in weapons, and even in space exploration. At that time, both sides were actively building up their nuclear arsenals, putting pressure on each other. Both countries trained professional spies and spied on each other. Many people think that this whole affair lasted until the collapse of the USSR, but no, the Cold War is still going on. Only now it's entered a more active phase. Because of the war that began in Ukraine, the United States has the opportunity to strike directly at Russia with its weapons, albeit with the hands of the Ukrainian military, and recent events confirm this. The United States is actively supplying Ukraine with weapons, including anti-tank systems, anti-aircraft systems, artillery systems, and much more. It allows the Ukrainian army to effectively counter Russian forces. In essence, the United States is fighting Russia with someone else's hands by providing Ukrainian soldiers with the means to conduct combat operations. You can say that this is bad, but on the other hand, without the support of the Allies, it would be much more difficult for Ukraine.
But in reality, it's a weapon of war designed to destroy an enemy's capacity to fight.
At the same time, the United States and the EU imposed tough economic sanctions on Russia, which seriously affected the Russian economy. Russia is in political isolation. Many countries have reduced diplomatic contacts, which is also a clear consequence of the fact that the Cold War between the United States and Russia has entered its peak phase of almost open confrontation. The United States supports Ukraine by providing it with weapons and aid, which effectively makes this conflict an indirect war between the United States and Russia. Recently, secret information sources have disclosed that Ukraine has launched a devastating missile strike on Russian territory with U.S. missiles. A new strike was carried out on a strategically important facility at the base of Russian fighters and bombers in an undisclosed city. This news is still not covered anywhere, but we know the consequences. One of the key defense positions of the Russian Federation was destroyed, and all thanks to the accurate work of the HIMARS and its experimental PRSM missile. A similar strike occurred earlier. On the night of July 10, 2024, U.S. HIMARS systems and PRSM missiles were used to strike strategic targets in Russia. These high-precision and long-range missiles were launched from Ukrainian territory and flew 290 miles to the enemy airbase at a speed of over 2,250 miles per hour, striking several critical facilities, including command centers and ammunition depots. This forced the Russian army to redirect significant resources to protect its positions. This was the first major operation using American weapons to attack directly on Russian territory.
Once you've taken the decision to launch it, then it might be a significant amount of time before it hits its target. You might want to change your mind, but with most cruise missiles these days, you don't have that option.
The use of the HIMARS systems and the PRSM missiles was a real shock to the international community. These systems are known for their high accuracy and range, making them one of the most effective modern weapons. The HIMARS can launch both missiles and guided munitions, while PRSMs are capable of hitting targets up to 310 miles away with extreme accuracy, making them ideal for strategic strikes. These missiles can even carry cluster munitions, the impact of which would easily wipe out not just a Russian base, but an entire city.
We recognized a need to develop a unitary type of warhead instead of the bombless that could minimize the collateral damage on the targets that we were going after.
The consequences of this strike could seriously exacerbate the already tense situation between the two countries, and the covert nature of the strike adds to the complexity, raising questions about the U.S. motives. Since both sides have a powerful military force, the risk of retaliation is high. The whole world is waiting with bated breath for Russia's reaction, and it's already known. Last time, after the HIMARS attack, Moscow immediately accused Washington of direct military aggression, which led to an escalation of the diplomatic situation. Russia has severed diplomatic relations with a number of Western countries and announced that it'll step up its retaliatory measures. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session to discuss further steps. The attack on Russian territory using American HIMARS systems and PRSM missiles was an important landmark in the conflict. This event demonstrated the readiness of the United States and its allies to provide more active military support to Ukraine, which in turn led to serious military, diplomatic, and economic consequences. The situation in the region continues to be extremely tense, and further events will depend on the response of Russia and the international community. I think it's clear that relations between the U.S. and Russia have reached a critical point, and the future is becoming increasingly uncertain. The strike also raised questions about the role of other countries in the conflict and whether they'll be drawn into the fray as the situation develops. This incident could lead to a large-scale escalation of the conflict between the United States and Russia. The latter is likely to respond to the attack, which could escalate into a direct military clash between the two nuclear powers, affecting not only Ukraine, but also other countries in the region, drawing them into hostilities. The U.S. and its allies are likely to increase economic sanctions against Russia, further weakening its economy. Russia's economic isolation may push it to develop stronger relations with China and other countries that don't support Western sanctions. The United States is in the process of strengthening its position in Europe, for example, by providing Poland with a $2 billion loan to purchase military equipment such as Abrams tanks and fighter jets. It's difficult to overestimate the impact of this event on world politics and international relations, as it can change the global balance of power. We can only wait and see. The theory of modern warfare is increasingly moving away from the concept of infantry and the use of manpower. High-tech missiles are coming to the fore, and to counter them, even more technologically advanced air defense is needed. This missile for China was the secret YJ-21. This is an anti-ship hypersonic missile with impressive characteristics. With an incredible speed of Mach 10, the maneuverability of state-of-the-art interceptors, and the latest guidance system, analogous to the Russian Zircon, it poses a serious threat. Perhaps you've noticed from the previous videos and already know why China is focusing on anti-ship missiles? Leave your opinion in the comments. And that's because China predicts that a future global conflict could take place in the Pacific region with the use of U.S. aircraft carrier groups. Only a missile can destroy an aircraft carrier, and only an air defense system can shoot down a missile. The picture has come together, but can the Iron Dome stop the Chinese YJ-21 missile? Given the declared characteristics, I have my doubts. Then why does the U.S. need the Iron Dome? Let's take it one step at a time. The first combat duty of this system took place 15 years ago, and since then its capabilities have only increased. When the United States purchased the Iron Dome, several of its main characteristics were important to it. First, this system is mobile and can be deployed anywhere in a short time. Mobility in expeditionary warfare on ships and islands is perhaps the main security factor. Secondly, the Iron Dome uses an automated battle management system that allows for a quick and accurate response to threats without significant human intervention. The reaction time from missile detection to interception is several seconds, which is critical to protect against unexpected attacks. We saw this during the recent attacks on Israel. Automation and speed of decision-making are very important for the U.S. military, especially when a hypersonic missile is flying in your direction. In addition, other characteristics are worth mentioning. The system is capable of simultaneously tracking and destroying several enemy missiles flying from different directions. It allows to defend the territory effectively during massive missile attacks. The Iron Dome also uses technology that allows predicting missile trajectories and choosing the optimal moment to intercept them, which minimizes risks to civilian facilities. All these features are not just numbers on paper, but have been tested in combat.
Its goal is to, as much as possible, intercept rockets.
The first use in combat conditions took place in 2011, during the repulsion of a missile attack from Gaza. During this time, the number of enemies increased. Missiles changed, but the developers of the Iron Dome did not stop progressing. Some of the most massive attacks in 2021 and 2023 were supposed to destroy Israel. However, air defense shot down 430 and 580 missiles correspondingly. Hardly any other system can boast of such results.
I would say around 90% of the interceptions we wanted to make, we make, but still there's too many rockets raining down here.
However, what we know about the secret YJ-21 is enough to impress even experienced Iron Dome operators. A photo of a Xi'an H-6N jet bomber with an air-to-air anti-ship missile was posted on Chinese social media. Usually, such images are not published for nothing. Under the guise of information leakage, China is sending a message. We have a new super missile. Try and guess what it is. According to the information available to us, the missile does have outstanding technical characteristics and poses a significant threat to the naval forces of potential opponents. The YJ-21 uses advanced hypersonic glider technology, which allows it to maneuver at high speeds, making it difficult for modern missile defense systems to intercept. The YJ-21 is specially designed to destroy large ships, such as aircraft carriers, and is being actively integrated into the arsenal of the Chinese Navy, which creates additional threats to Taiwan, the Philippines, and even Japan. The Chinese missile, also known as the Eagle Strike 21, has a range of 600 to 900 miles and can reach speeds of up to Mach 10. This is 7,600 miles per hour. The YJ-21 is designed to be launched from Type 055 destroyers, making these ships one of the most powerful in the world. The missile can also be used on coastal missile systems, aircraft, and submarines. It has satellite guidance and is an analog of their Russian Zircon missile, which has proven to be difficult to intercept. In addition, there are rumors of possible strikes against land targets, as Zircon does against civilian targets in Ukraine. The development of the YJ-21 can significantly change the balance of power in the Pacific region, forcing potential adversaries to reconsider their military strategies and air defense measures, which is what the United States is doing. In general, China decided to take a slightly different approach than the United States. Instead of creating super advanced fighters, unmanned systems, or laser weapons, China develops missiles for all occasions. This is due to the fact that the military-industrial sector is much more technologically backward, and there are problems with private initiative producers. Can their missile overcome the Iron Dome? In military conflicts, theoretical predictions often do not coincide with practice at all. If we look carefully at the technical characteristics of the Chinese missile and the Iron Dome, it becomes obvious that the Chinese latest missile is capable of defeating the Israeli-American air defense system. The Iron Dome was developed to combat slower and less maneuverable threats such as short-range missiles and artillery shells. The YJ-21 moves at supersonic speeds and is capable of changing its trajectory, which makes it much more difficult to intercept. The effectiveness of the Iron Dome depends on several factors, including radar location, system response, and interceptor missile capabilities. To combat hypersonic missiles, more powerful radars and faster interceptors with the ability to respond to a missile maneuvering at supersonic speeds are needed. In addition, we don't have any data on a combat encounter or test of the Iron Dome against hypersonic weapons. This may suggest the obvious superiority of the Chinese missile. However, all that glitters is not gold. Developers from Asia often like to exaggerate the capabilities of their weapons in order to please the party elite. This can be seen in airplanes, aircraft carriers, and of course missiles. Another important factor in this confrontation is the successful use of the Iron Dome, which has been proven over the years. Since the US is buying the technology itself and actively modernizing it, I think we'll see the latest American lasers in this system soon, which are capable of stopping even a hypersonic missile at the speed of light. Therefore, it's too early to make any conclusions based on theories. The United States, as a pragmatic country, invests in armaments for a reason, and I would definitely not underestimate the new modernized Iron Dome of the US Navy. Thus, the eternal confrontation between missiles and air defense systems will continue and gain new momentum in the coming years. The most important conclusion we can draw today is that both superpowers are preparing at the highest level for a direct armed conflict in the Pacific region. We've already talked about the air capabilities and the naval component of this confrontation in previous videos, and everything that's happening now with the Iron Dome is another leak of information about the upcoming conflict. Geopolitical games are certainly an interesting topic, but let's get back to the equipment. The technical potential of both countries is almost infinite, but they have radically different visions. Currently, the United States is using the maximum modernization potential of its existing weapons, while China continues to produce more and more secret weapons. The fate of the entire world in the coming decades will depend on which strategy proves to be the best. Making predictions here is a very thankless task, so each of us must draw our own conclusions. We can only hope that our technological progress in military affairs will leap forward so much over the years that it'll simply be irrational for either country to start military action. However, this is a theory, and we'll soon find out what will happen in practice. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't be lazy and like it. And if you want to see my videos more often, check your subscription here. Also, I love to chat with viewers in the comments, and I don't see yours there yet. So go ahead. Until next time, be curious and stay tuned.